نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص كما رأيته بصوتي قال يا بني لا
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, please be advised that our acting Imam, Dr. Mikhail Bibo, is running a bit late. So, inshallah, this is due to the flooding from yesterday. So, inshallah, he'll be here in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. So, that's what's happening. He's coming from Queens, and due to the flooding, he's running a little late, inshallah. So, if you have to stay, please do. Shukran.
وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَمَدَّ مِيزَانَهُ مِنْ دُبُرٍ وَأَلْقَ يَدَهَا لَدَى الْبَابِ قالت ما جزاء من أراد بأهلك سوءا إلا أن يسجن عذاب أليم فلما سمعت بما أرسلت إليهن وأنشدت لهن خبزة وآتت كل واحدة منهن سكينا وقالت اشرب إليهن فلما رأيناه أكبرناه وخشعن أيديهن وقلنا حاجنا ما هذا بشرا إن هذا إلا ملك كريم
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه. أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا سيئات أعمالنا من يضلل الله فلا مضل له من يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلق من ناس واحدة خلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أصدق الحديث كتاب الله أحسن الهدي هدي محمد شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في القرآن من الصراط التوبة: إن الله مع المتقين. So we began struggling, inshallah, seeking refuge in Allah Ta'ala from the shaitan, who is the cursed object. The name of Allah Ta'ala, who is exceptionally compassionate and extremely merciful. Indeed, the praise belongs to Allah Ta'ala. We praise Allah, we seek His aid, and we ask for His forgiveness. And we rely upon Allah Ta'ala for all our needs. We seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala from the evil that is in our own selves, from those low desires that seem to overwhelm us from time to time. Whosoever Allah Ta'ala guides, there's none who can mislead him. He or she whom Allah Ta'ala leads astray because of some choice or some decision that this individual has made, there's none who can lead him right. And I openly bear witness to the fact that there's no one and no thing worthy of worship except Allah Ta'ala, who is alone and single without partner. I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is indeed Allah Ta'ala's obedient servant and messenger. And we have been reminded by the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the most truthful speech is the speech of Allah. The best of guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that the worst of matters are those newly invented matters. Every newly invented matter is an innovation, it's a heresy, it's a bid'ah. Every bid'ah is a misguidance or going astray. Every going astray leads to no place except but to the fire. And we read portion of an ayat in Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th surah in the Quran, where Allah Ta'ala tells us, the portion that we're focusing on is for us to know that Allah is with those who have taqwa. So at the outset, I'll just ask that you make dua for the brother. You see, we just rushing there from one place to the next, trying to collect our thoughts in an effort to fulfill our duties and our responsibilities. But we wanted to remind us that these are the last days in the month of Muharram. And that during this month, those of you that have been here, have been listening to the khatibs, they have reminded us of the benefits that have been associated with these times. And particularly as they relate to the Muslims. We ask ourselves, why is Muharram so special? And in everything that is related to our lives, we need only to reflect upon what it is that Allah Ta'ala has said. And in the Surah Al-Tawbah, the portion of the ayat, there's more, and I only read a portion of the ayat. And it says, verily, the number of the months with Allah Ta'ala is 12. So was it ordained by Allah on the day when He created the heavens and the earth. And of those months, those 12 months, 4 are sacred. And that is the correct being, the right way of life, the right transaction that we have made with Allah Ta'ala. So wrong not yourselves therein in this time. And we only have a day or two left. So think about it in those terms. And fight against the mushrikeen collectively as they fight against us collectively. But know for a certainty that Allah Ta'ala is with those who have taqwa. There's a lot in this particular ayat for us to reflect upon, as it is in every ayat. But we're just trying to use this to provide a little backdrop for thinking about the significance and the importance of Muharram. And why is Muharram so special? Well, Muharram is special just because Allah Ta'ala says so. Period. And though all of us, I'm sure, know the importance of the month of Ramadan, we often neglect the other sacred months and their significance and what they might represent and what they might mean, the opportunities that they might hold for us during their times. This is no fault of our own, but we could attribute some of the responsibility, all the responsibility to us, because we have not learned of the benefits. You can't hold people responsible for things they have not focused on in their lives. But as Muslims, and we think about what Allah Ta'ala says, we have to constantly rehearse. But during these months, there are a wealth of opportunities, many opportunities for us to engage in behavior and activity wherein we do so because we are seeking to please Allah. And we engage in these activities because we are seeking the mercy of Allah Ta'ala. We engage in these activities because we are seeking and begging and asking Allah Ta'ala to continue to favor us, to continue to smile upon us, to continue to bless us, to continue to give us opportunities to draw near, to draw closer. And we know that during this time, the opportunities cannot be found in any other time during the year. This is what we have discovered, we meaning myself and those of us who are, trying to figure out what's going on. What makes this time so special? And they have been specially selected by Allah Ta'ala Himself as one of the best times to draw closer to Him. Allah Ta'ala has also said to us, with respect to this month, with respect to this time, so wrong not yourselves. A lot of us think that we don't engage in activities that do harm to ourselves. If it were not so, Allah Ta'ala would not say so. In another ayat, Allah Ta'ala says, let not your own hand contribute to your self-destruction. Many of us engage in activities and behaviors that really are, detrimental to ourselves, whether it's psychologically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. And the scholars of Islam have reminded us that our deeds carry more weight during the month of Ramadan. Not Ramadan, during the month of Muharram. Just like during Ramadan, for example, the sunnah salah are graded or counted as if they are fard. The nawafil salah are counted as if they are sunnah. I'm mentioning this because the first thing that we're going to be held accountable for when we stand before Allah Ta'ala is our salah. Well, some of the things about this sacred month of Ramadan also hold true during the month of Muharram. And there is opportunity to gain more reward during this time, and just a few days left every day of the month. But there's also a danger that exists during this time. For the sins are weightier. The sin that we commit during the month of Muharram, they're going to weigh more in the scale than sins that we may have committed during any other time during the year. And that's why, I thought it was important for us just to pull out this piece, so wrong not yourselves during this time. And what this suggests for us, is that this is the time that we should be extra vigilant. I don't want to mix that up with being hyper vigilant, because we say, people become hyper vigilant when they experience trauma. They always looking out because they are basically in kind of shock. But we want to be extra vigilant, and that's how I personally understand taqwa. I understand taqwa as being on guard. I'm trying to be on guard against offending Allah Ta'ala. Even though nothing happens except by the permission of Allah Ta'ala, the things that Allah Ta'ala permits to happen, He doesn't have to like. It's our choice in terms of the things that we do. Allah He has left us alive. He's not compelling us to obey like the Malika, like all the other creatures in the planet. You decide. But when we decide, because, when we begin to reflect upon the meaning of Surah Fatiha, understand that we are going to be held to account for the things that we have actually done in this world. And you often hear me say, for every breath, for every heartbeat. And we'll hopefully say something, about that down the line. So we need to be extra vigilant about the things that we do, whether it is with respect to our relationships, with respect to the things we do on the job, with respect to how we perform our acts of ibadah. Do we perform acts of ibadah in a state of khushu', a kind of consciousness? Or do we perform the salah like we chickens? I don't know if you ever heard that analogy before. But some of us make the salah like we chickens. Wham, wham. We don't give each position the attention that it deserves. We perform the salah in a disrespectful manner. And if you're familiar with some of the hadith and the sunnah of Abu Dawood, just because you make the salah does not necessarily mean you're going to get 100% of the benefit or the blessings for what you do. And in some of the stories that I've read about the virtues of the salah, some salah is thrown back into our face like it is a dirty rag, which is only an indication about the manner in which we present ourselves to Allah Ta'ala and how we perform what He has commanded us to do. These are some very weighty times. And so we must be concerned about our relationships, our work, our ibadah, even our time. So Allah Ta'ala says, "Wal-as." Whether if we don't focus on on what we do with every second. Another story I heard, that every hour in our life will appear, as a treasure chest. And when they are open, some treasure chests will be filled with darkness because we have done nothing during that time. And some treasure chests will be filled with light because of the things that we have done. And I'm sure you've heard stories about, elongate your streaks of light as it relates to the making of wudu. These are just analogies that I call to mind when I think about things to try to help me understand the significance and the importance of what it is that we are trying to do. Serve Allah. And so with the right attitude, with the right frame of mind, everything that we do can be viewed, every single act as ibadah. Everything that we should do should be done in an effort to please Allah. And if we have Allah Ta'ala in mind, why not? Like for example, the people asking about having intimate relationships with their wives. Would they get blessed for that? Or you gonna get punished if you do some other stuff? Bismillah. So we need, and I'm still collecting myself. But we need to remember that Islam is not a religion. And that's, we use these words because we speak English. But Islam is not a religion. It's how we live it. It's a way of life. And that's why, these milestones each year, are to, about religion is about how we are living. So think about Muharram and the lessons we should take from it, because they are designed to help us learn how to live. Children are not born knowing how to be human beings. They have to learn that. Just like, we have to learn how to be Muslims. It's the same thing with us. We have potential, but we have to interact with each other. We have to interact with the Quran. We have to interact with the Sunnah of the Rasulullah to learn what it is that we are being asked to do. And with the Rasulullah how to do it. So we spend our lives trying. That's why I try to tell myself, I'm striving to be Muslim. I don't want to claim that because I'm not going to know whether or not I was Muslim until Allah Ta'ala calls me Abdullah, if he chooses to do so. See, for me, making claims before, the ultimate point when it means something, to me, is a kind of false sense of piety. I'm this, I'm that. How do you know? For me, it reminds me of another statement where, a person was asked, do you love Allah? And before he was about to say anything, the person said, don't say anything. And he said, because if you say Allah Ta'ala and you don't obey him, you're a liar. And if you say you don't love Allah Ta'ala, then you're a kafir. So chill. Because your acts are going to demonstrate what you are, not what you say. But there's just some things that I just think about, as I am trying and striving to be Muslim. Because Muslim is an action thing. It's not a static thing. It is dynamic. It is something that is done. Submitting. One who submits. You got to do that. You can't claim that. Muharram. So, as we practice, what are some of the things that we should do in order to benefit during this time? Minimally. Not just during this time, but say assalamu alaikum more. And I don't like to focus on big things, you know what I'm saying? Because, the little things, or let's just say it this way, the Rasulullah, that which is done consistently is where the barakah is at. You know what I mean? So these are some things that we can do on the regular. Assalamu alaikum. It ain't that hard. This is the greeting of the prophets and the people of paradise. And it is such a simple action that it can reap countless rewards and forgiveness. Muslims should greet each other. Assalamu alaikum. People should respond. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The response to the salam as we just said, is similar. As Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, greet and then return with a better greeting. So saying the salam is something that has been encouraged by Allah Ta'ala, but it is a sunnah. To respond to one who says assalamu alaikum is fine. You're obligated. And sometimes I try not to feel some kind of way because, we all out in the world. You see people, you don't know them, you know they're Muslim, you say assalamu alaikum, and they look at you and they keep walking. I feel some kind of way. But I did my part. And I try not to get discouraged because, when you get rejected, anybody ever been rejected? You know what that feels like? So I don't want that rejection to discourage. I did my part and I have to keep doing my part no matter what anybody else does. It's hard. The Sunnah of the Rasulullah, he says that the person closest to Allah Ta'ala is the one who precedes the other with greetings. So don't feel discouraged. Don't feel bad. The Rasulullah says, you do what you're supposed to do. Do what you know you're supposed to do. And that shows minimally that you're conscious of Allah. Why else are you doing it? Why are we doing anything? Well, please Allah. There's another ayat in Surah At-Tawbah, I think it's 103, where it says that Allah sees. Allah sees, and so do the Malika. They see what you do. Because remember, you got the Malika on this side, they writing. So we have to put our focus on Allah Ta'ala and not on the people that we interact with. Because sometimes it's discouraging. Saying salams is one of the rights another Muslim has over another Muslim. In the hadith, the Rasulullah, he said that the Muslim has 5 rights on his brother, sister, Muslim. And the first thing he says that the Muslim is he who returns his salam, he or she. Of course, the other pieces, visiting the sick, attending funerals, accepting people's invitation, praying, Yarhamukallah, when one sneezes. We have reciprocal rights. That's how we really serve Allah Ta'ala, by serving humanity. Can't do nothing for Allah. But we serve Allah's creatures because we know that they belong to Him. And we serve the creatures only with that in mind. To please Allah. And so Muslims should greet their fellow Muslims whether, they acknowledge them or not. And in doing so, what do? We minimally attempt to establish some type of friendly relationship, which is actually really needed in this particular society. We have to let people know because Muslims are being attacked. I'm here, because people, they don't know that someone is in their company that could perhaps help them if they get in some trouble. You see the sisters out there, you see the elders out there. Let them know you're in the area. I got you. Because the reciprocal obligation is that this is what? Your life, your honor, your property. It's sacred to me. Just because you like it. It doesn't say only the Muslims that you know. If you see a Muslim in trouble, what you gonna do? I don't know them. Ain't my business. No. And by greeting each other, in addition to establishing these relationships, we also, as we were reminded last week, they act like positive reinforcement to each other. When I'm with somebody, I feel stronger. I don't know if you ever exercise and stuff like that. Don't you have a better feeling when you're working with somebody else? If you're in a hostile environment and you are somebody else is there, isn't that empowering? Doesn't that provide you a sense of or degree no matter how small, of security, I know I'm not alone. And the mere fact that we say it in public, we're not afraid. We have to be unapologetically Muslim because people are trying to make us hide and be ashamed. You got Muslims coming over here, Abdullah, and then they change the name to Joe. I'm saying some of this other stuff because people trying to assimilate into society. No, we don't have to do that. We need to be ourselves. We need to understand that on a number of fronts. But the dominant society is strong in terms of its ideas because they permeate the atmosphere. They're everywhere. Like I'm in school, I had to tell the other professors, I said, listen, tell the Muslims in your class, Eid Mubarak. They tell them Happy Hanukkah. They tell them Merry Christmas. They tell them Happy Halloween. You won't tell the Muslims Eid Mubarak. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we need to speak up for each other. I mean, that's what we read. That's what we are there for. Allah Ta'ala says this. Those who believe in the wonders of Allah Ta'ala and this messenger and whatever it is that they brought, we engage in righteous deeds. And we, as the result of pleasing Allah Ta'ala, who we made to enter gardens under which rivers flow, to dwell in these places. And these are only as a result of us pleasing Allah. I don't like to get it twisted because some people think that we chasing the paradise. That's not what we're chasing, folks. Some people think that we're running away from the fire. No, we're not running away from the fire. What we're doing is trying to please Allah. So Allah Ta'ala himself, he said that the greatest achievement, in Surah Al-Tawbah, I think it's 92, the greatest achievement is the pleasure of Allah. And as a result of Allah Ta'ala being pleased with us, he lays out for us all these gifts, the Jannah. But if you displease Allah, then, it's the fire. I mean, that's what it is. So I try to keep my focus on Allah Ta'ala. And that's why, I don't try to understand Taqwa's fear. Because we speak English. And the fear suggests something we're trying to stay away from. We're not trying to stay away from Allah Ta'ala. We're trying to get closer. To dwell therein forever by the permission of Allah Ta'ala. And in that state, therein the greeting will be Assalamu alaikum. Practice now. Because if you're not doing this now, you can forget about it when the Malachites show up and they're standing over your grave. Because they're going to ask you, who is your Lord? Who did you follow? What was that guy's name? What was that way of life that you said you were engaged in and practicing? Buddhism? No. See, we have to know these things now so that, when questioned, because we are going to be interrogated. So Allah Ta'ala says, so wrong not yourself therein. This could also be interpreted to mean to do good to yourself during this time. If I'm not going to wrong myself, then I should be doing good things for myself. So, what are the simple things that we can do that are good for ourselves is to smile. Smile. And I actually Googled the benefits of smiling. And what the kufa will tell you is this. Makes you feel good. And these ain't kufas. What the doctors and science, they talk about, the smile produces a chemical, not produces a chemical, because it's already there, but it facilitates the activation of a chemical called serotonin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, which is a kind of antidepressant. Dopamine, which kind of gasses you up, make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we ain't got to go get nothing. We already got it. We just got to figure out how to activate these things that are within us. That Allah Ta'ala, smiling is an antidepressant. Whoever knew that? I need to smile more because I get depressed. One of my professors of the clinical psychology, he said, look, man, if you don't get depressed, you're not experiencing the black man experience in America. I said, okay. So that helped me normalize, you know what I'm saying, what I was feeling. I wasn't feeling so bad. Black man is under a lot of pressure. Has always been in this particular country. So the smile, while thought of to be something very similar, it has health benefits. Do good to yourself and smile. Smile to the people, because whenever you smile, as they were saying, you know, the brain releases these tiny molecules. And we're not going to go through all that. I just wrote it down because, or copied it basically, because, we think of Islam as a religion. And that's why I had to, get out of that kind of thinking. Because we don't think about religion and what's it, like neurotransmitters, you know what I'm saying? Like dopamine and serotonin and endorphins. How you living? And Allah Ta'ala tells us, I'm just suggesting some things that, the evidence, you should even fake a smile. You ever been in a room and somebody just starts laughing? These things are infectious. So try to infect people with a smile, and some infections are not always negative. So forcing a smile could boost our mood, increase our level of happiness. Smile during Muharram these last few days. The simple action will weigh heavy in the scales. And Allah Ta'ala reminds us in Surah Al-Hashr. Be not like those who forgot Allah. This ayat is one of the most scariest ayats for me. And I think about our father Adam alayhi salam. What was his mistake? He forgot. So Allah Ta'ala says, and be not like those who forgot Allah Ta'ala. Which is basically to say, they became disobedient. They didn't listen to Allah Ta'ala. They did not obey His commands. And as a result, Allah Ta'ala caused them to forget their own selves. To me, that makes me afraid. Because, just like Surah Al-Asr, we will be losers in the next life. And that's, a lot of us, we focus on what we see in front of us. But there's more to come. I often ask my students, can you see with your eyes closed? Can you see with your eyes closed? Some people are going to tell you no. I ask them, can you see yourself graduating? Now they can see. You see what I'm saying? Because, you envision things. You see where you're going. It's not just looking with the eyes. Blind people can see better than a lot of us. They don't have the sight that we're talking about, but they got some insight. Think about it. And Allah Ta'ala will cause them to forget their own selves. Meaning that they will forget to engage in righteous deeds. He calls them the fasiq. They will become the fasiqun as a result. And so we want to ask Allah Ta'ala to help us to remember Him. We ask Allah to help us to have taqwa. We ask Allah these things because we know that these things are important not only for this life, but for the next. We began the khutbah by saying that Allah Ta'ala is with those who have taqwa. So I pray Allah Ta'ala have mercy on our souls, forgive us of our sins. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa samawati wal ard wa ja'ala al-zulumati wan nur thumma alladhina kafaru bi rabbihim ya'dilun. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sayyidina Muhammad. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. So again, I apologize for the delay. And I just ask you to forgive me for stumbling, some difficult moving from one space to the next. But we want to, as we conclude, just reflect on the 36th ayat in Surah Al-Tawbah, wherein Allah Ta'ala reminds us that the number of months with Allah Ta'ala is 12. This, of course, was ordained by Allah Ta'ala when He created the heavens and the earth. And of those 12, 4 are sacred. That is the deen. So wrong not yourselves therein, and fight against the mushrikeen together, as they fight against us together. But know that Allah Ta'ala is with those who have taqwa. And the fighting does not always have to be qatal. See, we got to understand that qatallah fi sabilillah is not the same as jihad fi sabilillah. Qatallah is on another level. We're not even going to get into that. But it's basically some real fighting, some real killing. You know what I mean? But the initial struggle with the Rasulullah was ideological. For 13 years, there was no fighting. While he was in Mecca, he was working on changing how the people thought. He was establishing for us an ideology, an idea to guide our lives, a way to live by la ilaha illallah. That's a kind of new kind of thinking. It's new for us because, at least for me, I was raised with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I had to shake that loose. That's why I like use the word G-O-D, because I'm still trying to unlearn from how much I've been programmed. You know what I'm saying? We've been programmed. The things that we do, we were taught to do that. We learned how to do that. We didn't learn how to be Muslim. I mean, some of us, by the mercy of Allah Ta'ala, came back. Because we heard the name of Allah Ta'ala. He tells us crazy, but I used to be on the roof screaming because all I knew was the name of Allah. Allah, Allah, Allah. That was my ibadah. That was it. That's all I knew. And I was up there by myself, bugged out. That was so, you're on the roof screaming Allah. It was crazy. But that's all I knew. And then from there was another step. And then from there was another step. And, and I say that, don't underestimate just the name of Allah Ta'ala. Because Allah Ta'ala says when the name of Allah Ta'ala is mentioned, it causes a trembling in the heart. I mean, when you hear the name of Allah, does it do anything for you? Does it do anything for you? Does it motivate you? Does it move you? Does it cause your heart to tremble in awe of Allah Ta'ala's majesty? I'm telling you, get on a boat and look at the ocean. Go out on a black night and look at the stars. These are the things that Allah Ta'ala has created. You're not in awe. You don't feel that power. SubhanAllah. So focusing on these milestones like Muharram, doing this year, every year, are basically designed to help us in our living. And that's all we're trying to learn how to do, to live. And among the things that we should do during the month of Muharram, and not just during this month, but every month, is to give sadaqah. Give sadaqah. We should do this all the time anyway. But in times and moments where there's extra benefit, do more. And only you know what you can do. There ain't no pressure here. You know, with some spots, they shut the door. You ain't gonna get out till you do something. Ain't no pressure. And so as we end, I just want to remind us that it is also the time of year that most people pay their zakah. We pay zakah of what we have earned and what we have accumulated during the last year. And we need to focus on this pillar, this institution in Islam. This is one of the fundamental pillars, principles of Islam, the third, in fact. Here, it is obligatory, it is compulsory, and all of us have had at the end of the year at least $1. Out of that dollar, give Allah Ta'ala 2.5 cents. Out of that dollar. If you got 1,000, give him $25. Why would you not do it? You answer that question. But it is our obligation. It is more than just engaging in, the charitable gifts or, a display of being generous or helping, somebody. It is ibadah. It is an act of worship. But it is also an effort towards self-purification. Believe me, none of us, me included, are not going to present ourselves any old kind of way when we stand before Allah Ta'ala. We're going to have to clean up. And that's why, I constantly remind myself, and I'm trying to be careful how I say this, but, not to be afraid of the fire. I might have to go. I mean, should I expect that I got an automatic ticket to the paradise? You know your sentence, I know mine. And I expect perhaps, that Allah Ta'ala might say, listen, Miguel, you got to go to the fire a little bit. But if I'm in the fire, who are you going to call? Ya Allah. Are you going to remember what Allah Ta'ala says about those who are in the fire? What does he say? Hadith. Those that have an atom's weight. An atom's weight of man will be removed from the fire, because no matter what your situation is, you're going to always turn to Allah. What you going to say? Yo, Shaitan, help me out. What? He said, listen, man, I'm done. Because if you read, the Shaitan, in response to some of the queries or the question in the dialogue, he tells, I'm afraid of Allah. That's what the Shaitan says, that he is afraid of Allah. But he's still doing what he said he's going to do. So if I do find myself in this place, Ya Allah, have mercy on me and forgive me of my sins, because I have been sent there, because this is what you decreed for me. And in whatever Allah Ta'ala decrees, therein is also his mercy. Because Allah Ta'ala said that his mercy encompasses everything. I have to remember that. Because I've been in some tough situations. We're going to be in some tough situations. And when we find ourselves in these situations, what are we going to do? Ya Allah. Ya Allah. I just hope to be able to say that. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. To let your heart speak when your mouth can't figure out what to say. Ya Allah. Because, everything that is us submits to Allah Ta'ala except for our will. You got to will the rest of you, you know what I'm saying? But your heart submits, it don't stop beat, because Allah Ta'ala made that command, heart beat. You can't stop it. It'll stop because of some evil or harm that we have done to ourselves. Remember, Allah Ta'ala says that, the evil is not the result of what man's own hands have brought. So apart from helping the poor with this giving, we do the zakah, pay the zakah, engage in zakah, basically because Allah Ta'ala commands it. And because, we are, to the best of our ability, trying to obey Allah Ta'ala. And so giving the zakah also helps with our thinking. The zakah helps us to remember that everything that we have is from Allah. And that's hard to remember sometimes because, you know, you figure you're on the ground. You figure you doing the work. You figure you figure it's you. But who gave you that potential? Who gave you that ability? Who gave you that faculty? Who gave you that skill? Allah. And so in doing so and giving the zakah, it helps us to acknowledge that. It helps us to acknowledge that everything that we have is a gift or a loan from Allah. How do we show gratitude? And so it helps to remind us that what we do really, that we really own, that we don't own anything. You don't even own yourself. That's why it's a sin to commit suicide. You can't take your life. You understand what I'm saying? Allah gave you that. And if you do that, you're going to be in the fire because of the ingratitude for the gift of life. Killing yourself, or however it means you use to do that, over again. The life is not ours. When we engage in zakah, it helps us to acknowledge whether one is rich or poor, that whatever condition we find ourselves in is a result of the qadr of Allah. I don't talk too much about the qadr of Allah because I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I try to do is to embrace it and to have the proper attitude. You know, when things happen, for example, somebody dies that you love. What do some people say? Oh Allah, why you take my baby? Oh Allah, why you let my mother die? The creature belongs to Allah. Allah does what he pleases. Instead, we should say, MashaAllah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Allah, for allowing me to have some time with this person. Thank you for all the joy you allowed me to experience. You get mad with Allah for. The creature belongs to him. Allah does what he pleases. It's an attitude. And that's what I'm saying, you know, trying to, you know, to get my thinking right. Pay the zakah. To give zakah, as you know, takes discipline. If your dollars are like my dollars, every time I touch them, they screaming, ah! Where you trying to send me, man? No. Nah, man, y'all got to go. Sometimes you got to talk to them dollars, you know what I'm saying? Because they be refusing to move. It frees us from this kind of love. Love of possessions, love of things. It frees us from, you know, love of money. You know, because when you're in love with these things, you know what I'm saying? You serving them. You're doing whatever you got to do in order to get these things. We don't have that same kind of attitude in everything that we do. And it frees us from this kind of love, even of the self. You know, some people, they in love with themselves. Instead of acknowledging that what you have is but a blessing from Allah Ta'ala. It also teaches us to be honest. You know how much money you got. I don't. So when you pay the zakah, only you and Allah know whether or not you give it up the 2.5%. You know, you can fool the brother. You go $10. That's it. But you got 50,000 on the side, and you give it up $10. It helps us to be honest. So Allah Ta'ala, you know, has commanded us to not wrong ourselves during this time. And I'm mainly concerned about how I'm thinking during this month of Muharram. And there are a lot of commentators on this. And we're ending where Ibn Kathir reminds us that injustice during the sacred months is worse and graver than injustice in other months. Injustice is always wrong, but Allah Ta'ala makes things graver than others as He wills. He goes on to say that Allah Ta'ala has chosen some of His creatures above others. He's chosen messengers from the angels and from men. He has also chosen His speech above all other speech. He has chosen, the masjids in the earth to be better places than some other places in the earth. He's chosen Ramadan and other sacred months to be better than all other months. He has chosen Friday over all other days. He has chosen the night of Qadr to be better than all other nights. Therefore, whatever Allah Ta'ala sanctifies, for doing so is the practice of the people of understanding. And so we have to pray for these things. So we pray, Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. And this is something that was encouraged by the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that we should say as much as we can, particularly after the Fard Salah, Ya Allah, help me to remember you. Help me to remember you. Help me to be grateful. Help me, Allah Ta'ala, to serve you in a manner that is most excellent. Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, we always thank Allah for today's khutbah delivered by our acting Imam, Dr. Mikhail Duval. We ask Allah to reward him for his effort. We encourage everyone to make dua for our Imam, Imam Talib Abdul Rashid, who continues to recover from illness. We thank Allah who continues to sustain us through this global pandemic. We ask for His mercy and thank Him for removing some of our sins. As always, as the COVID restrictions ease somewhat, we encourage everyone here at the masjid to continue to wear your mask. Be mindful of our physical distancing, even though we may close the ranks for the salah, and to bring your individual prayer up. And lastly, we encourage everyone to give generously to the Sedekah, and this can be done by sending a text to 347-973-4352. And as for the people who are watching on the live stream broadcast, we encourage you now to make the dua salah as we pray Salat al-Jum'ah at the Mosque. Assalamu alaikum.